Welcome back to Lead. I'm Jake Tapper. Time now for our world lead. They are considered a critical ally in the Middle East, but today one former 9/11 investigator is accusing some in the Saudi Arabian government of playing a part in the worst terrorist attack on American soil. That bombshell allegation coming from John Lehman, a Republican member of the 9/11 Commission. Those comments sparking renewed calls for the Obama administration to uphold the president's promise to 9/11 victims' family members and declassify portions of a prior congressional inquiry into the attacks known as the 28 pages, which document potential Saudi support to the hijackers. Let's get right to CNN's chief national security correspondent, Jim Sciutto. Jim, the 9/11 Commission report said that they found no evidence that the Saudi government or officials funded al-Qaeda directly. No direct evidence, but the Saudis have been citing that line as if it's an exoneration. It isn't really, though.
It's not a complete exoneration, Secretary Lehman saying that. And he points to what he says is the qualified language of the 9/11 Commission's conclusion that it found, quote, and here's that statement, no evidence that the Saudi government as an institution or senior Saudi officials individually funded al-Qaeda, that leaving open the possibility that other lower-level officials, or that perhaps this was not a policy decision, but there were people tied to the government. And there is evidence, says Lehman, that these 28 pages have some evidence that not just one or two, but as many as 6 individuals tied to the Saudi government had some ties to those Saudi hijackers. It's an allegation that has lingered almost since the moment the towers fell, that Saudi Arabia was somehow tied to the 9/11 attacks. Now, speaking to CNN by telephone, former 9/11 Commissioner John Lehman says the classified 28 pages of a congressional report into 9/11 contain evidence that as many as 6 Saudi individuals supported al-Qaeda in the run-up to the attacks. Those individuals, he says, worked for the Saudi embassy in the U.S., Saudi charities, and a government-funded mosque in California. Lehman makes clear that the 28 pages, which are mostly FBI summary reports, contain no smoking gun. And like the 9/11 Commission concluded, Lehman does not believe the Saudi government or any of its senior officials supported or were aware of the 9/11 plots. However, Lehman says that evidence of lower-level Saudi involvement was never sufficiently investigated and should now be, quote, vigorously pursued. Other commission members, including former federal prosecutor Richard Benveniste, are echoing Lehman's call.
We would not be so arrogant as to think that we, with our limited time and resources, have investigated every single aspect that there is to look at in the 9/11 disaster.
When it completed its investigation in 2004, the 9/11 Commission concluded it found, quote, no evidence that the Saudi government as an institution or senior Saudi officials individually funded al-Qaeda. Saudi leaders have repeatedly cited that conclusion as eliminating the possibility of any official Saudi role.
If you look at the Commission report, it deals specifically with Saudi Arabia's role, that there was not a Saudi role nor any official role in this situation.
Some 9/11 Commission members do not dispute that defense.
There is a substantial jump to suggest that somebody who had a job in a consulate is a representative of the Saudi government.
However, Lehman says that the Commission's conclusion intentionally left open the possibility that lower-level government officials or employees may have played some role, even if they were not instructed by Saudi leadership. And it is that lingering question that he hopes the 28 pages release and further investigation will answer once and for all. The 9/11 investigation was terminated, Lehman told CNN, before all the relevant leads were able to be investigated. Now, Lehman says the FBI dropped its investigation of these individuals because they said they had insufficient evidence to indict. That is a pretty high legal bar. To be clear, though, I should say, Jake, that the Saudis actually joined Lehman and others in saying, go ahead, release the 28 pages, let them be investigated. And as recently as last week, the Saudi foreign minister said the same.
All right, interesting. Jim Sciutto, thank you so much. Turning